I have been absolutely loving what this Protoss player has been cooking up as of late. Playing with the blue Protoss probes, we're looking inside of the main base of Hero. He's been playing like a bit of a madman with a ridiculous amount of confidence, going for strategies. Even little building positionings like this, they don't really make a lot of sense, but he is consistently stringing wins together, and it's been an absolute blast to watch. His opponent, down in the bottom section of game number 1. This is on a map called Mothership, which, by the way, did end up winning the most recent Team Liquid map contest. So this is indeed going to be an official StarCraft 2 ladder map at some point in the near future. But playing right here with the red Zerg drones, we have the man who's been impressing me the most with the Zerg pieces on the new patch so far. We have none other than Solar. Now, this particular best of 5 is the grand finals of the Monday Night Weekly, which, as you may have already guessed, was played last Monday. Now, the Monday Night Weekly uses a double elimination bracket, and it carries through all the way to the grand finals. So the way that this works is that we have a best of 5 series first. Essentially what it comes down to is that if you end up coming from the upper bracket and you then win the first best of 5, you win the entire tournament. However, if you come from the lower bracket, we'll play an additional best of 3 afterwards. It's a little bit confusing, but long story short, in this particular instance, it is Solar who comes from the upper bracket. So if Solar wins this first best of 5, the tournament is over. Since Hero already used up one of his, well, 2 lives in the tournament, since it's double elimination, if Hero wins the first best of 5, we play an additional best of 3 on the back of this to decide who wins the whole thing. Either way, it should give us loads of games of high-level StarCraft, and it should give us a very fair look at where this matchup is currently at. I've been loving, though, what Hero has been cooking up. Sometimes he looks a little bit foolish. I will be honest with you, it's a bit difficult to be a Hero fan sometimes, because he plays like a god the one game, and then, well, he tries similar weird strategies in the next couple of matches, and it just doesn't look nearly as good. Either way, it's gonna be a good old Stargate opener to start things off, but already, right, it's a bit weird to not be walling the natural expansion with your very first structures. Usually, you build that first pylon right over here, and then the gateway, the cyber core, maybe the Stargate as well, go right next to it. Although, usually you put the Stargate attached to the second pylon that would usually go up maybe over here, or over here, or over there. Doesn't really matter all too much, but already we have a little bit of variety. And I think Hero has just been enjoying being very difficult to read. If you are Solar in this instance, like, what do you think is going on? Well, lucky for him, he did get a Zergling in. He is also going to double check with his Overlord to see if everything is actually legit. We're going to be going into a Void Ray too. I kind of love it. That low ground wall, it is the standard for a reason. Going for an Oracle first, it is also the standard for a reason. But I think Hero has basically decided lately that playing suboptimally, quote-unquote suboptimally, may actually be optimal, because it keeps the opponent guessing, and it may just reduce the greediness, well, of these Zerg players in this particular instance, because it is just so difficult to know what in the world you're going up against. Right now, Solar is completely in the dark. That's one of the big advantages of opening up with a very quick Void Ray like this. He is completely in the dark, and there will be basically no intel other than little Zergling scouts. It should technically be impossible to get an Overlord in, unless Hero is sleeping on the job. These Zerglings should also be denied quite nicely. Now, this is an excellent scout by Solar. He sees the 350 or so third Nexus, and that will give him the intel that everything here is reasonably normal. But against Hero, you never know, right? We could have very well seen a second Stargate already with, like, Tempest production underway with a fleet beacon and all the rest of it. Solar, though, getting a lot out of very little scouting. And it's making him confident enough to now just start up the lair at about 4:30. Nothing all too weird. He's going for a safety Roach Warren as well right over here at the front. Small group of Zerglings to scout out what's happening. Oracle actually has apparently decided that just a little bit of creep denial is good enough. I find it a little funny, actually, that Hero has not gone much further with this Void Ray. Yeah, and this wall-up situation, it's not my favorite. It's a little bit silly. Twilight Council on the back of this together with a Forge. Probably should be Blink together with +1, although it could be Charge, considering Immortal production has already begun. Not a terrible idea. I think Solar at this point is looking at this, and he's at the very least contemplating going for a Queen drop. This is the Overlord speed upgrade. Pneumatized Carapace is what it's called. That is what he's researching right now. Usually Solar only does that if he is either very far ahead and he wants to just get Overlord speed out for the scouting, or he believes that the opponent is playing a bit too stupid. He may very well plan on, punishing the opponent right away. So I think we're going to be sending the Queens across the map. Looks like a few Overlords, a whole load of Overlords actually, are added into the same control group. I believe we're going for a march with the Queens and then drop creep on the other side of the map. This could be a big surround as well, though the Oracle up in the air. Alright, has enough energy to activate their Pulsar Beam. Hero has no idea that this aggression is just about to hit on his side of the map. He will see the march of the Overlords right now, and at the very least that there is speed. Decides to commit. Zergling run by in the meantime on the other side of the map. Adepts should be able to work on this mineral line quite nicely, but maybe the most important thing that these Adepts are doing right now is they're buying an insane amount of time. Honestly, the damage here is also really good. Alright, well, the double Queen drops. Where's the... there they are. Where's the first Overlord full of units? It has indeed moved already across. We have a secondary one with, a Zergling drop that will probably be headed into the main base. All right. Apparently Solar is fighting aggression with aggression today. I'm liking this position quite a lot for Hero, but he needs to hold on against this very large Zerg army. And you know what? That Stasis Ward, it may actually prevent him from getting into his own natural expansion. Hero forced to back up right now to the relative safety of the third base, but Zerglings are already running into the natural, already running into the main base. The Overlord drop now has arrived as well on the other side of the map. Corrosive Biles are going to be able to get rid of the shield batteries with ease, and this is looking like a very, very difficult hold. Hero still, though, with the eco advantage, but now the probes are going to start falling. All right, we have the Oracle in the meantime working away at the Zerglings, and it just barely had enough energy to complete the job. Immortal goes down at the third. Creep spread over here is looking pretty darn nice. Solar still making non-stop army. The question is, though, does he actually have enough to close this out right here, right now? He wants to deal more damage. But it's also important to maybe recognize when the push is over. These Immortals are so nice. Kind of sucked that he lost one of them. 17 kills, by the way. 18 right now on that one Immortal. Looks like Solar at the bare minimum is still going to be able to kill the opponent's third Nexus. Cool, guys. Don't look at explosions. Maybe they should have, though. And this is now going to be a problematic retreat. Solar decided to commit to killing it, but now lost every single one of those Oracles. He thought that that corrosive bile was directed by Michael Bay as he threw the bile and backed off. Barely not enough damage. Overlords have to retreat. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. So, the Nexus gets rebuilt. I don't hate this position here for Hero. He's going to go into the Robo Bay. Third Nexus restarts, of course, with some static defense right over here, too. Zergling drop in the main base, fair enough. Maybe can deal just a little bit of damage. The Oracle, by the way, is still around. Okay, it's currently doing a bit of sightseeing on the other side of the map. Trying to figure out if there is, like, maybe a spire or just a whole lot of droning that followed this up. But he will see that the gases are not fully saturated, which I think will make him pretty happy. Solar, though, has not really been planning on slowing down whatsoever. As a matter of fact, Solar has not added on a single worker ever since the Adepts went across the map. So he basically is just planning on doing more of the same. And this is now a complete all-in. I believe if Hero holds this, life is going to be really nice for him, but the question is how much damage is he going to take? That Immortal there, 12 confirmed kills, ended up going down. Queens are back for more as well. This time around the Oracle falls. Solar fully committed. The Stalker micro has been pretty darn solid. Maybe the transition towards a Robo Bay, though, was a little bit early. Man, I love this new style, though, that Solar has been employing. When the patch was first out, he played defensively in every matchup. He still does it most of the time against Terran, but he has completely flipped the script, at least in this match so far. Being hyper-aggressive, and I've seen him do it as well a little bit more against Terran lately. A lot of Road Ravager all-ins and all the rest of it. Also still playing some phenomenal macro games, though. We're 10.5 minutes in, and it's been an absolute bloodbath so far. Interestingly enough, it's really Solar that is prompting this. Looks like more Ravagers are going to die over here. Okay. It's a hold. It's a hold, but 34 probes have died. And that's a lot of workers. Then again, the cost efficiency of the Protoss army is noticeable too. Losing, well, a good couple thousand minerals less than the opponent. And he does have the tech advantage. We're going into Disruptors too. Normally, this unit is not made against Zerg. Zerglings are pretty good against it, but especially Vipers are really problematic. Obviously, Solar, though, has not really been in a position to, well, tech up towards a hive whatsoever. So Vipers are not going to be happening here. So maybe that makes Disruptors a reasonable choice yet again. We still have not had any drone production from Solar at all. He's getting roach speed, but he's mostly just making more units. Hero has sprinkled in at least a round of probes. Back up to 51 right now, so a few cycles there on each of the Nexi. You will now see, though, with the Hallucinated Phoenix, that another swarm of the Zerg is going to be knocking at his front door. The Colossus is going to be really nice. Disruptor goes in! Disruptor explodes just seconds before the Purification Nova does. And upon seeing the situation and seeing how large the Protoss army is, Solar knows he's not going to be able to win with his extended all-in. So game number 1 goes in favor of Hero. Next up, we find ourselves on Winter Madness. Hero, normally known as an aggressive player, well, he was forced into a very defensive position, and clearly, he made it work. A lot of StarCraft players out there are very good at being aggressive, or they're very good at being defensive. Not a lot of StarCraft players are actually good at both, even at the highest level. Usually, players do have a certain tendency, right? But Solar normally a macro hero. Hero normally a cheesy Solar. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Solar, I guess he's the sun, right? It doesn't really, you can't really make a lot of puns when it comes to his particular username. Anyway, nice confidence boost right there, though, for the Protoss. Even though he likes being the aggressor, it does not mean that he is perfectly capable of playing a very defensive game as well. As far as Robo Bay goes in general, by the way, if Zerg sees a Robo Bay, basically if you're a Zerg player on the ladder, right, say you're a Zerg player, as soon as you see a Robotics Bay from the opponent, immediately your first thought should be Vipers. Because no matter what the opponent is going to make, it's going to either be Colossi or Disruptors. Now, Disruptors are pretty uncommon, but Vipers counter both of them. Abduction is just such a powerful tool. I guess you could also get the... you could get the Robo Bay for the Observer speed and the Warp Prism speed, in which case, honestly, a Viper is still very useful. Anyway, Solar now is going to go up against the Protoss player with a very conventional wall-off. Winter Madness, by the way, ended up getting 5th place at the Team Liquid map contest. That does not mean we're not going to be seeing it onto the ladder. So, interestingly enough, I didn't actually know that this is how it worked, but they've changed the ruling a little bit. So, with 9 maps in the current map pool, for the upcoming map pool, so a lot of the games that I've been casting lately, they are played on the TLMC finalists, the Team Liquid map contest finalists. There's 15 maps in total as far as the finalists go, and 3 are decided by popular vote, 3 are decided by pro gamer vote, and then 3 by tournament organizer vote, which I think is a pretty great way of doing it. The community tends to go for the crazier maps. The pro gamers tend to go for the more balanced looking maps, the ones that don't seem to be too crazy and that are more, at least, yeah, you can expect a little bit better, right, what the win rate is going to be like. And obviously the tournament organizers should have a pretty good understanding as well of, well, what is technically possible on maps and what would be a nice combo to round the map up with. And I'm pretty excited for it, honestly. There's a good chance that Winter Madness will make it into the ladder eventually anyways. I would not be surprised at all, but it is, of course, well, something that we are still waiting to see. It's going to be a Glaive Adept build this time around from Hero. So he's decided to skip out on the Oracle play altogether. Apparently we're gonna go straight into a Twilight Council. Notice how Solar is not keen to double Overlord Scout. Obviously, he saw his opponent going for a Void Ray build in the previous game, and that's exactly why those Void Ray builds are so useful. Especially when you're playing a series. Yeah, if your opponent has already shown Void Rays, maybe they are going to be building it some more in the rest of the series too. Solar basically is not going to be able to scout this until the Adepts get across the map. Last game he got, I think, about a 4.5 minute Roach Warren, so if Solar wants to get one again, alright. He's a little fished out, right? You can tell that he's not entirely sure why, and there's something weird happening here. The normal time for a Protoss' third Nexus is 350. Hero is going to be planting it at 410. Solar is going to see the timing of it right now and notice that something is a little bit off. Now the question becomes, though, how do you decide, okay, how many units you produce? Well, I think he sees the shade out right here. Doesn't see all of the shades, but it certainly is an indicative that he needs something for base defense. Roach Warren is not yet done, so it's just going to be Zerglings for now. Okay. Immortal production already on the back of this. Are we going to commit? No. The Zerglings chasing down the shades. Queens in the meantime over at the third base. Excellent zoning here by Solar. It would make a lot of sense that you would have the Queens chasing down the shades of the Adepts over here too, right? But Solar already calling the opponent's council there, calling the bluff. And his early game push has been pretty much perfectly denied. Excellent scouting right there by Solar. But it's not like he's finding himself at a massive advantage, because those Adepts are still a threat. But the fact of the matter is that the longer the game goes on, usually the worse that those Adepts become. Once Zerg gets like 100 army supply, the Adepts just sort of seem to disappear and do very little. Still, we're a long ways off from that. Solar is trying to saturate 3 bases first. Really rushing out the gases over here too. Lair is going to come up. This is really not the type of game where Zerg is really ever going to feel like they can get away with, say, for example, a Spire or something along those lines. So that is something that Hero is more than likely not going to be playing against, and maybe something he has achieved with this particular opener. But even though, yeah, he's not gotten scouted by the opponent, because of the lack of oracles, he also can't really scout himself. Fourth hatchery comes up. Roach speed starts up. I guess Hero is just going to follow this up now with some weird 3-base Immortal push? He's getting Blink. I would have assumed he would have added on at least like 1 or 2 more sentries if he wants to really go for a push. Are we just going to play Macro? It's such a difficult guessing game with Hero. He can just do a little bit of everything. It looks like, yeah, it will just be a Nexus. Solar's gonna see the move out right now and maybe panic just a little bit. But I don't think this is really that committed of an attack here from Hero. Because if he would have attacked and really committed to it, I think he probably would have made at least a few more sentries. Maybe a little bit of creep clearing is the best we can do. He scouts right now. The opponent's 4th. At least I think. Ooh. Yeah, he does see it right now. Not much you can do about it, though. An odd little move out there from Hero. Hoping maybe that his opponent was going to be caught off guard. Hiding the Prism here as well from the Zergling scouts. Fair enough. It's going to be Roach Ravager Ling Bane. Yet again with Overlord speed here for Solar. Yet again, we have a Dropper Lord coming up, but I think it's going to be for Zerglings. The Prism should have seen the Lynx. The Lynx should have seen the Prism. Easier said than done, though. Well, I think he did. Well, if he didn't, he's gonna notice it right now. I don't believe that Hero saw. And so far, this game has not been ideal here for Protoss at all. Maybe these Adepts can finally get something done, but look at the supply count. This is what happens when nothing happens, right? Like when the Zerg is able to just deflect everything. This is the instance that you arrive in as Protoss. You just suddenly fall like 50 supply behind. And Solar is ready to go for a big attack. Look at this. Massive move out. Baneling speed, which now also grants 5 additional hit points again. Ever since the new balance patch, it is done. 19 additional Banes come up. Hero sees it at the very least. But is there anything he can really do about it? He does not have Size Storm. He does not have splash damage in any way. I'm a little bit afraid that this Zerg army is just going to absolutely demolish everything. Still though, Solar is hesitant. He doesn't know if there's Storm, right? Well, at this point, he will probably recognize that it's not the case. He pops the force fields right there. Banelings are starting to roll through. He's keeping them on move command as well, just to keep that Protoss army pinned back. A bunch of Zealots get warped in. They do have charge available right now. Yeah, Hero does still have a load of units, though. I'm a little bit afraid for when that first wave of Zerg reinforcements arrives, and that is right about right now. Protoss can warp in units, but Zerg can usually build up stuff even faster. This will be, at the very least, the end of the 4th. But I don't believe that Solar is going to settle for that alone. Nope, he is smelling blood right now. He wants to continue fighting this right here, right now, and he's just sending in wave after wave of unit. More and more Zerglings wrap around. Some of them were headed to the natural expansion before being rerouted to surround the new Immortal. And GG gets cold. Solar evens up the score. Next up, we find ourselves on the Old Republic. I've fast-forwarded to minute number 2, just because everything was very normal. Now, we did have Hero going across the map yet again very quickly. So early, as a matter of fact, that he blocked the opponent's natural expansion, so Solar forced to go for the 3rd base, but at this level, I don't think Solar really cares. It's something that a lot of ladder heroes like myself absolutely hate playing against, but Solar will be more than capable of, well, macroing with his bases disconnected for the time being. Stargate opener right here for Hero, so very normal. I gotta say, though, I've been very impressed by Solar across the board. That previous game, he defended the aggression from the opponent pretty much perfectly with the absolute minimum amount of units and the absolute minimum amount of scouting info. And when you're watching the game, it doesn't look that hard, but it's so easy to accidentally make like 5 drones too many, which means that you have 10 less Zerglings for the defense and to die to the Adepts. Right? There's like a lot of little things that go horribly wrong for Zerg very rapidly, and Solar is navigating those waters very well. Knowing exactly what to expect from Hero. And Hero, so far, at the very least, not really able to get away. Is this... It's not a high ground. Doesn't even really look like a high ground, but he tested it to see if it is. So far, Hero not really able to get much done with his shenanigans. Group of Zerglings is here. Ooh, hunting down the Adepts. Stalker in the wall off too. So there will be little tells, right? There will be little tells right here for Solar that he's looking at. So for example, he looks at the timing of the opponent's 3rd Nexus. He looks at the timing of the Oracle. He checks whether or not it's a 2-gateway 3rd base, or like a 2-gateway unit 3rd base rather, or a 3-gateway unit 3rd base. So in this case, it's 2 Adepts together with a Stalker. He will check whether or not the 2nd gateway was produced before the 3rd Nexus. And it's generally like a list of elimination rather than the Zerg scouting out exactly what the opponent is going for. It's a list of possibilities that he's got in the back of his mind. And as he sees different things from the opponent, he crosses them off of the mental checklist. And then he makes decisions based off of that limited amount of info. It's a difficult puzzle to solve in real time. But obviously Solar has got, well, tens of thousands of games to think back on. It's honestly kind of insane when you think about it. Like, it's just one of the many examples, right, that StarCraft players use, but there is a lot of highly specialized knowledge in the brains of pro gamers. Many of them will also have, like, this is something that's always kind of blown my mind. I barely know the games that I've played last week. But if you ask somebody like Cyril, he will basically be able to remember any tournament game, at least any important tournament game he's ever played. The map order, the spawn locations, the strategies that were played by both players. Even if you ask him games from like 5 years ago, there's a very good shot that he will remember. It is a theme I've noticed with a load of pro gamers. Many of the good RTS players seem to have a near perfect memory for matches. I'm sure not all of them do. But the ones that do, they like to let you know that they remember every single match. Alright, let's see. I highly doubt it's the case for the likes of like MaxPax, Bjorn, Clem. Not because they don't have a good memory or whatever, but because they play so much. Right? It helps a lot if you're Cyril and you play like an average of like 10 tournament games a month. Maybe tournament maps a month on average. I'm not exactly sure, but there's a very finite number of games that Cyril tends to play. Where some of these guys, like both Solar and Hero, they play, well, a whole lot more. Weird little attack here yet again from Solar, or from Hero rather. He's really trying to get the kill on the opponent's fourth. The fourth is going to finish up though. Adepts, okay, do get surrounded over at the third. Oracles show up. Okay, a couple stasis wards. If the goal is to try and kill the opponent's base, should we not be using the energy from the Oracles to maybe shoot lasers at the base? Weird little engagement here by Hero. So this is off of 7 gateways, actually. But he's got 7 gateways, but no prism. Reinforcing Stalkers are showing up. Stasis Ward is just about to wear off. Queens are getting destroyed as well. But the hatchery itself is still very much so alive. Okay. Charge right now for Hero. Normally, you don't really play this style without a robo facility. So, the general rule for Protoss is to never move out with a ground-based army like this without a robo facility and then preferably a prism and an observer. If in doubt, those rules are usually good to follow. But Hero is not following what is considered to be like the absolute basic of Protoss. Instead, we're using the Stalkers right now to dance. He really wants to hit before those Hydralisks are fully upgraded. The Zerglings have +1 melee though, and you can tell, right? These Zerglings are not messing around. Hydras do have their ranged upgrade, but the movement speed upgrade is still coming up. For now, he can't really move the units off creep very well. There's the Zealot showing up. Baneling Nest just about to finish. This battle here for the 4th hatchery is ongoing now for minutes. Baneling speed coming up. I think one of the reasons why we see the continued aggression, is because of the queens dying. So we've had 7 dead queens. And it makes it quite difficult here for Zerg to really get a reliable army out. He needs to remake some of them, so he's built 3 of them here in total again. The Zealots are so nice here. Has Hero actually just figured it out? The Hydra numbers are becoming quite overwhelming. Little Zergling run by as well up north. Photon Cannon finishes up. Oracles return back home. Yeah, I think the numbers here that Zerg has finally are working in his favor. But in the meantime, right, while Solar finally stays on 4 bases, at the very least he keeps the expansion alive, Hero already has a 4th Nexus here, pretty much fully saturated except for the gas, and he fires up a 5th. Solar is not gonna just slow down either, though. Apparently, after defending the base, he is just once again holding down the unit production buttons, and we are going into hyper-aggressive mid-game attacks here yet again. Zerglings, ooh, morphed into Banelings and blow up a whole load of those probes. Zealot run by in the meantime on the Zerg side in the natural expansion. Queen though is backed up into a nice position here to mitigate a lot of the damage and to buy a lot of time. Stalkers are in the meantime blinking after some Banelings and Hydras in the middle of the map. Good defense here by Solar. Not so steady a defense there from Hero. Still, Hero already had a worker advantage. And that really just mostly evened the odds. RoboBay coming up. Looks like against Hydra Ling, it's not a bad idea to go into Colossi, but it's an expensive transition to make. Zergling run by yet again. This time around it gets intercepted. Couple of Zealots as well on the far bottom right. It seems like so far in these games, Solar is like, okay, I'm done making workers. Time to fight. And he just starts making units and never goes back to droning. That is the theme we've noticed so far. Honestly, not a bad idea. If you're a Zerg player out there and you're struggling in this matchup, it seems like Solar sometimes gets 40 workers, sometimes he gets 50, sometimes he gets 60. Sometimes in this instance, he's at about 68. But then we go full unit production, and when we start, we don't stop. Banelings are going to wake up out of stasis as well in the natural expansion. Good timing right there by cameraman Loco. I was like, it's probably going to finish right about right. And I clicked the natural, dude. For every time I miss it, every once in a while I get one right as well. All right, that was some excellent aggression, though, by Solar. Really, really good work. You know, this is not quite up to the craziness of, for example, a Dark. It's a lot more conventional than that. But it is nice to see, right? Because I feel like most Zerg players have been playing StarCraft 2 like a bit of a punching bag. Like, Protoss, hit me. Oh, hit me again, Protoss. Hit me with the Blink Stalkers. I'm just gonna expand and go to Lurkers and then eventually attack you when I get to Hive. Right? They just want to get hit the entire... But it looks like Solar has decided to just throw that out of the window entirely. That's how I picture Zerg players anyway. Or maybe I've watched too much anime. Either way, Infestation Pit coming up right now, and maybe we will have to go up towards a Hive in this instance. Hero, just about fully extended with his thermal lens. We have another Colossus popping out here in just a moment. 5th Nexus, or I guess now the newly made 4th. Coming right up. Zergling run by for Solar is going to confirm indeed that the base is not rebuilt. And by the way, he still has not added on drones, so he is going Hive. And he has been chilling for a little bit on creep. He did make a new expansion, but he really just transferred drones to it. That's it. Still just sitting at 62. Conventional Zerg wisdom, right? Usually says that you can only play this type of unit composition off of like 80 plus workers. Hydraling Bane is usually like an 80 worker plus unit composition. Same for Lurkers, man. You really do need like at least 8 gases. And if you're gonna go 8 gases, you need 4 bases. So that's like 80 workers too. But Solar's sitting around on 62 here. It's interesting. Somehow, some way, the confidence that Hero has been showcasing in the previous series we've seen him play in is kind of gone against Solar. He's been walking around the battlefield like he owns every map. But in this instance, apparently, well, he's a little bit concerned that maybe he's getting outplayed a little. Templar Archives, though, is coming up. Lurker Den is going to finish up here, too, in just a moment. We'll probably go into the both of the Lurker upgrades, and Vipers are on the production tab, too. Maybe it's because the RoboBay units are here. Solar in game number 1, when he saw the Colossi, he didn't really have a chance to transition because he was so far down in economy. But in this instance, I guess he saw the Colossi and he's like, well, you know what? My opponent is a bit of a madman. Better get those Vipers out just to be safe. The norm in this matchup is to go... At least I don't even know what the norm is anymore, but generally speaking, conventional wisdom used to be that 3 Colossi is where you cut it off. Baneling roll by yet again. Ooh. The probes here decide to fight themselves. I'm a little bit concerned here for Hero. I can already imagine all 4 Colossi getting abducted into a bunch of lurkers, at which point this Protoss army absolutely melts. There's currently 9 lurkers out. Now, they are mispositioned, so that's, I guess, a nice thing here for Hero. Yep, drones are immediately going to evacuate. New expansion comes up on the left. Zergling run by was also defended quite well. Those Archons having a great time. Solar getting a little bit unlucky there with his positioning. He assumed that the Protoss would go in over here. He did not notice the move out on the right. Adrenal glands coming up. My concern here is mostly that this is not a late-game Protoss army, whereas this is a proper late-game Zerg army already. We have a fleet beacon right now, together with... I hate the positioning of this. Why are we building the most important tech right over here, Hero? Alright, anyways, we're doing a fleet beacon together with a second Stargate and +1 air and all the rest of it. In like 3 minutes, Hero's gonna be great. Hero's gonna be really, really comfortable. But that does require the Zerg to chill for that amount of time. And considering Solar is maxed, he just hit all of the lurker upgrades. He's got the Vipers full of energy. He is not going to be chilling. And this is exactly what I was trying to highlight. That is 2 Colossi down the drain in about a split second. There's 0 chance that you're going to be able to get in here. Oh, lurker. Yeah. Okay, lurkers will probably move forward. Why is the fleet beacon here? This is a 300, 200 structure. 300 minerals, 200 gas. 150, 150 for the Stargate. Ah, kinda hate it. I kinda hate it. Remember when Zergs used to put their Evo chambers in the most obnoxiously, easily accessible location ever? We used to see them all the time as like wall-offs in the 3rd base, and they would just die to like 3 Zealots. Grinded my gears for years. Oh, army hotkey on the prism. And at this point, the lurkers don't need to be microed. Yeah. Yeah. Now adaptive talents here is done. GG gets called. Solar wins another map. That takes us to the map Satellite Years. Low ground pylon here for Solar. Although, it is not the first pylon. He built it yet again in a bit of a weird order. There's a hole as well on top of this pylon. Alright, just let the man cook. Now again, this is a double elimination tournament, meaning that Solar is going to be coming from the upper bracket, and because of that, well, if he wins this particular map, it is going to be the end of the event. He will have won the Monday Night Weekly number 29. If Hero ends up coming back and wins this best of 5, we play one more best of 3 for all the marbles. And the reasoning is because of the fact that you have 2 lives in a double elimination tournament. Hero already dropped down to the lower bracket, aka he already lost a series, whereas Solar made it to the grand finals, not dropping a series, and therefore he still has his 2nd life to play for. Stargate opener for our Protoss. Timing is a little bit weird, though, on the Stargate. Ah, we've gone for a sentry first? Man, Hero is such a funny Protoss. It's so difficult to read him. Like, I have all the information, and I watch a ton of StarCraft. I think I have a pretty good grasp on the meta in general. You may disagree, but I've watched a lot of SC2. Even with all the info, it can still be difficult to pinpoint exactly what Hero is going for. So you can only imagine how his opponents are feeling, right? Because they have so much finite information. Like, all he's seen is a bunch of weird Protoss units. There was a sentry, a pylon at the low ground, no 3rd nexus. In the end, this is all relatively normal. It's nothing all too weird, but it's just a little bit off. And I guess, yeah, if you are Solar right now, right? The normal time for an Oracle to show up on the other side of the map would be about 4 minutes. And clearly, by looking at all of these units that he has seen from the Protoss so far, he has decided to skip Spore Crawlers. Now, there could have already been an Oracle zapping everything down. This is looking like a just in case I may need one type of Spore. He even cancels it. Okay. So this is one of those dumb builds where Hero is going to be able to actually do a lot of damage with Oracles because they are showing up late. It's one of the weird things about high-level StarCraft. This would only ever work at a high level. It seems to me that Hero is going to be able to get damage done with the Oracles because he missed the timing by minutes. I think he's going to move right about right now, or are we going to save up 4? How many Oracles are you going to make, Hero? He still has not shown them. Okay, Spore Crawlers are coming. He wanted to wait for another energy recharge. Now we commit. It's not 4 Oracles. It also looks like it's not going to be more Oracles. But it's 3 Oracles, I guess. Maybe a little bit too greedy now, though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Happy days. Yeah, I kind of hate it, man. This is why it's difficult to be a Hero fan. Like, sometimes the man looks brilliant. But now Solar made a bunch of Spore Crawlers. And, yeah, it doesn't look that great. Still getting a good bit of damage done, actually, all things considered. I thought it'd be worse. 7 drones is actually not that bad. Oracles, though, are on the other side of the map. The expansion right here from the Protoss is in the direction of the Zerg. So it's a relatively short run. You know what? 7 drones, considering there are spores, is pretty darn good. He also got some Ravagers, I think. 1 Ravager and maybe a Roach. Trying to see if we can add some extra numbers. Stutter Step Micro on Oracles. It's not something you see every day. Likewise, a Transfusion on a Roach is also not something you see every day. There's 75 minerals and 25 gas each. Not that expensive. Ravagers usually are the bigger price, but I'm pretty sure when Solar plays against Hero, he's just happy to get to the mid-game. He really likes it when the clock hits like minute 8 and he hasn't really, you know, died to anything stupid. I think that's basically everybody when they go up against Hero. They're like, oh, thank God I've survived the early game. Whatever state I'm in, I don't know, man. I'm battered and bruised, maybe, but at least I now have a rough understanding of what the man's capable of. Our first Templar Archives, I believe, for the day. Have we had Templar Archives in the previous games? Been a little weird. I do feel like I have seen some. Yeah, we did see some Archons. Ooh. Move command on both of the Oracles. The third one also was moving, but lucky for him, he was in the far bottom section of the the old army hotkey. Overseer Scout goes in. And you will see that indeed Sonic Storm is coming up. So, rather than going Colossi, to try and deal with this Hydraling Roach-based army, maybe there's going to be Banelings on the back of this, but Hero doesn't really care about that knowledge at this point. It's just actually a Roach Hydra here for Solar now, which is kind of weird. We don't really see a Roach Hydra anymore in 2025. At least not usually. Yeah, this is a unit composition where I guess High Templar are indeed pretty good. So, against Hydraling Bane, High Templar are excellent. Roaches, however, have way more hit points than a Hydra, and they're also quite cheap. So it's 90 HP versus 145. So after seeing High Templar, we've gone from Hydras straight back into Mass Roach instead. Ooh, the High Templar are actually pretty exposed. One of them goes down. This is not a good position here for Hero at all. Ugh. I mean, okay, that last storm was nice. But it's kind of ugly. And now we're 70 supply down. He does warp in a whole lot of units and a very quick fleet beacon here too. Hero's fleet beacon, his fleet beacon timings are all over the place. Can you really deal with this Zerg push right now while also going to tech up? With the most expensive structure known to Protoss? Yeah, maybe. The storms have been, I don't think optimal, but they're still good enough. Solar is doing this off of a low eco, and as we already saw earlier, right, he doesn't add on a whole lot of economy after the fact either. So we're just doubling down. Okay. Do we just go Mama Ship? Is that the main thing we get? Because he only has one Stargate. Mothership is 400 minerals, 400 gas, though. It's extremely expensive. And it takes like 7.5 years to produce as well. I don't know if we can really afford it. Here comes Solar yet again. Solar not planning on making drones. Oh, that stasis was just about perfect. It's going to buy Protoss a little bit of time, but is it enough? Zealot run by in the meantime, though. He's trying to get this Zerg army off of his back. Immortal production has begun. He's going to need a whole load of those bad boys in order to really get value out of them. Roaches have woken up out of stasis yet again. They're immediately switching tasks to killing an Archon. A lot of the Roaches do end up dying here. Yeah, I think if Hero is given enough time, he will go straight into a Mama Ship, but he's a little bit afraid of making the call right now and spending resources on something that may never actually be useful. Top priority has been to keep this Nexus alive. Okay. I mean, he's doing a really good job. GG, wow. Solar actually decides to straight up leave. I guess in Solar's mind, he was on like an extended all-in. And maybe he thought he lost more drones to the Zealot counterattack than he actually did. But this was honestly a little bit too early of a GG. I think when he tapped out, he actually had more supply than the opponent. This really wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah, that GG just now from Solar was much too early. I don't think he needed to tap out. Sometimes you think that Zealot run-bys do a lot of damage. And then when you actually check out the worker count, you have not even really dropped. And I actually think that was one of those instances where maybe Solar thought that the Zealot run-by did a lot of damage, but he actually cleaned them up pretty much perfectly. Maybe underselling his own performance in his head a little bit. Well, now we find ourselves in game number 5. And I secretly hope that Hero wins this so we can do another best of 3. Alright, a very conventional start this time around, in every sense of the word here for Hero. We have a good old low ground pylon. We have a good old Stargate. Will he go for the second gate? He will. Second gateway before a third nexus. No corners being cut. Blind Spore Crawler here for Solar. At the conventional time this time around. Actually, it's a little bit early. No, that's not the conventional time. That one's like 20 seconds earlier than we normally would expect it to start up. Maybe even a half minute earlier. Solar maybe putting his opponent on a proxy or something along those lines. A little bit strange. I'm not sure exactly what Solar is up to here over the last 5 minutes or so of gaming. Maybe Hero has managed to get into his head a little bit. Well, if that is the case, this is the most conventional game that I've seen Hero play in a while. Twilight Council, I'm assuming we're going to go Forge next to it. To go Blink and +1 ground attacks. If he doesn't, it could also be Glaive to Depths, which would be very Hero-esque, I suppose. And maybe a little bit uncommon. Losing 2 Adepts here is rough. Okay, loses only 1. Oracle comes back, but activates the Pulsar Beam. +1 melee comes up. Stasis Ward attempted. Well, not just attempted, but succeeded. But not quite an efficient play there for Hero either. It is going to be Glaive to Depths, okay. No Forge upgrade. So this is still Hero we're looking at. He did not hand over his mouse and keyboard to someone else playing under the same name. I would say for most Protoss players out there, say like the classics, the max Spexes of this world, this is a build that they mix in every once in a while, maybe once in a best of 5 finals, but Hero loves this sort of stuff. It's going to be a Ling Bane right here by Solar. No Roach Warren. It's a straight lair. Okay. Little Zergling run by attempted over in natural expansion, but would you look at that? Hero not using the all army hotkey, instead like hotkeying his troops properly. Not making really any misplays. The defense though has been rock solid from Solar so far. But he was probably hoping that maybe he would be able to slip through the cracks here at this point. I don't believe he's going to be able to achieve much over here. Stalker is still on hold position. Fourth hatchery therefore comes up. Now we have Blink. Blink together with +1 on the back of this. And a whole lot of adepts. It has been scouted early. Solar now sees, but he doesn't have a Roach Warren. What he does have, though, is a Baneling nest. If you can hide the Banelings and basically connect as soon as the Shades complete, it is one way to instantly shut down this sort of attack. I don't know if Hero has really seen any of the Banes just yet, and Shades don't really have a whole lot of vision. Hydra then right now on the back of this, so it's going to be Hydroling Bane. Zergling counterattack in the meantime, too, on the other side of the map. Keep in mind that Zerg here does have Bombas. Zerg does have +1 melee, which benefits both the Zerglings, but also the Banelings. Banelings do deal more damage, and now the Lings are getting into the natural and to the main base. Speaking of main bases, though, the Adepts now being a little bit annoying. I will say, blowing up Banelings on Shades that complete is one of the many, many satisfying things about playing StarCraft 2. I know all the Zerg players watching this right now are a little bit too excited about that little moment. Even though it's rarely cost efficient to use Banelings against Adepts, even though you may not necessarily pull ahead, it is almost as good as blowing up an entire mineral line with Banelings. Oh, Banelings are, well, very, very hit or miss, literally. But when they hit, it's pretty nice. All right, now, it's Blink together with +1 on the back of this, like I said, and then also the Storm research yet again. So, Hydroling Bane from Solar, Stalker, High Templar right here from Hero. No fourth Nexus yet, though. And this is something that Solar is looking at as well. And he's not loving it. A little bit weird. Why would there not be a fourth? He checks out the alternative fourth base. Hero actually taking his just a little bit later than you would normally expect. Charge needs to be fired up as well, by the way, for Hero, which I hope he doesn't forget about. Okay. It's a lot of army, though, right now for Protoss. Yeah, the fourth Nexus is real, but obviously the extra money has gone to just a whole lot of unit production. This is a 10-gate push on 3 bases. A little bit weird. I feel like the words a little bit weird and Hero go together very nicely. We need a lot more defensive Banelings, though, Solar. Huge warp in. Yet again, by the way, this is an attack from Hero without a robo facility, so therefore no prism. No observer. He doesn't even have an easy way of clearing out the creep. So the reinforcements have to be warped in one of the, well, bases where those Zerglings are attacking, I suppose. Big amount of Banelings coming on. Can we storm this? Speaking of satisfying things, can we storm it? I couldn't quite reach it, but it was still enough to cancel a whole load of those morphing in units. Solar decided to reposition it. Ooh. Recall is going to be utilized, as apparently Hero gives up on the fight. He did end up getting the cancel on that base, but that was a very thin defense there from Solar. That really could have gone horribly wrong for him. 6 probes have gone down. 7. And now apparently it is Solar's turn to be the aggressor. This time around, we have stopped making drones at 80. Apparently, at some point, Solar just flips the script upside down and he decides, you know what? It is time to go. Put my foot on the gas and keep making units. High running Bane for days right now. Baneling roll by? Yeah, just blow up the Zealots. Who cares? There you go. Oh, little sentry. Trying its best. Tickling a Baneling to death. It's because there's a little skirmish happening as well on the bottom right. Neither player really able to put all of their focus on that fight. Zealots, though, are chasing the Hydras, and that's nice for the Protoss. Ooh, transfusion on a Hydralisk. Also not something we see all too often. A very quick and accurate clicking right there by Solar. The Templar numbers, though, are looking nice. 8 of them in total. I think there's probably about a dozen storms. A lot of low HP units. The storms are in interesting locations. And when I say interesting, I mean bad. My god, he's walking into his own storms a whole lot, too. But maybe the zoning here is going to be enough regardless. Banelings, though, going in with the flank. Not enough available anymore. Become an Archon. Grab a friend to merge into one together. An absolute bloodbath. And even though the Archons were meant to be together for a lifetime, they die within seconds. There is still no Robo facility. Dude, we're going Fleet Beacon before Robo. Kinda crazy. The Oracles have been long dead for, well, this game, right? So we haven't really been able to get any vision out on the creep spread. Maybe he's caught a couple of those creep tumors with the storms, but creep spread here is real dangerous. Ooh, another Archon gets forced to be morphed in, and this is starting to look pretty problematic here for Hero. Ooh, the 2 Zorklings apparently win the fight as well against that Archon. That is not just the Archon dying, but then also 2 High Templar, both at energy for Storm, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Wow. Apparently, we have smashed our piggy bank, and we're going into the Mama ship. It's expensive. It's gonna take a very long time to produce. But this is a Zerg player who's kinda stuck on a mid-game army, right? We don't have a Hive. We definitely don't have a Lurker Den. There's a lot of Hydras, I suppose, but they don't have the dash. He doesn't even have the +2 missile coming in. Baneling roll by on the right side, but Hero did spot it before I did, so that's good for him, because otherwise the mineral line would have been dead. Oh, Mothership is going to be phenomenal here for the base defense, though. It's super useful, but such a big investment. Would you not rather just have had, like, 5 additional Stalkers at this point in time instead? Okay, the storms have been juicy, but the Baneling hits as well, and that is 15 probes down the drain. In the meantime, though, Zealots are destroying the Zerg's natural. Ooh, 11 drones. 20 probes right now. Yeah, and this is the big trade-off. When you go into the Mama ship, you're basically saying, yo, I am investing into the future. And as we have all learned, saving money is pointless. Just be a good consumer and spend everything, man. Well, Hero apparently needed to save a little bit. He would have bought this mothership with a credit card if he could have. Loads of drones are dying, though. So it's an eye for an eye. Transfusion yet again on a Hydra, trying to run it away, but it does end up falling there to the Zealots with charge. Yeah, StarCraft 2 has taught me that having good macro in IRL is absolutely critical. Who needs money for emergencies anyway? Here we go. Archon, where you going, man? Jeez. Honestly, though, the Mothership hits like a truck these days, but it did get a movement speed reduction. So it is a little bit slower than it once used to be. Yet again, nothing on hold position in the natural expansion. It's all becoming a little bit problematic now. Hero usually deals with that sort of shenanigans quite well, but clearly we've been quite happily using the all army hotkey for a while. Here's Mama, though. And Mama is big these days, right? Back in my day, Mama wasn't big enough to get, she could get abducted. She could get neural parasited. These days, Mama's thick with like 3 uppercase C's. Isn't that crazy? Throws out a couple auto abilities too. Wow. Solar apparently just does not like where this is headed. And that means we are going to the reset match. Now, it turns out that normally the tournament rules state that the reset match is a best of 3. But the pro gamers decided that they can't be bothered, so it's one best of 1 for all the marbles instead. I love it when tournament organizers spend days contemplating coming up with rules and the exact format and all the rest of it, and the players, they're tired, man. They've been playing this tournament for probably most of the day. They just want to get it over with right now, so we have a best of 1. The best of 1 or reset match. Fair enough. Tournament organizer wanted to make it as fair as possible. But Hero and Solar, they'll be happily playing 1 match instead. Okay. So, the winner of this map, Celestial Enclave, will be the winner of the tournament. And this is one of the winners, actually, from the Team Liquid map contest. Meaning that this will be a ladder map in the future. Very nice. I like this map, actually. I think it's very good. So, you can send the probe scout in through the back door, but you can also choose the front door. Sorry, I've been casting games for a long time too, okay? What I'm saying is that if the front door is blocked, maybe you can take the the mineral or the worker only backdoor entrance. Yeah. Anyways, Solar is going to be expanding towards the good old natural, but there is that pocket expansion. The pocket expansion on this map has 5 mineral fields and 1 gas, which is a little bit weird. We've seen a lot of different flavors of pocket expansions over the years, right? So one of the big concerns that players have is that pocket bases are too good. If this was 8 mineral fields and 2 gases, it'd be too powerful. So because of that, we've seen map makers put in maps with like 4 mineral fields and 1 gas geyser, aka 50% of a regular base. But that doesn't seem quite good enough. 6 probably is a little too good as well. 4 with a rich Vespian gas geyser is maybe okay, but maybe also a bit too powerful. Maybe 5. 5 regular mineral fields and the 1 gas geyser is the actual way forward. Honestly, I don't mind it. It's not a bad idea. Just a little interesting. I quite like the idea, actually, of what StarCraft 1 does. So, StarCraft 1 maps always seem to have a different set of mineral fields per base. So, you may see one base with 8, another one with like 7, sometimes 6. In StarCraft 2, the norm really is to have, well, 8 per regular blue base, but maybe for like easy to take bases, make it less. Maybe for ones that are really difficult to control, make them gold or add additional mineral fields to them. I don't mind the idea. But let's see. Oracle coming up. Solar needs to see whether or not the pocket base at some point is going to be taken as well. Second Oracle queued up immediately too. And Hero is actually playing a very conventional game here yet again. There's the third Nexus. It's a very quick third Nexus, but it's because the map allows it. So the normal thing to do is to make a second gateway before you go for a third Nexus. But because he used the pylon as part of the wall-off, he can get away with this setup right over here and take the safe base in the back. I think it's a good idea. It now allows Protoss to basically be fine with their economy, and they don't really even have to deal damage to the Zerg's mineral line to, well, be at least even. Sometimes that's one of the frustrating things about playing Protoss. You feel the need that you have to deal some sort of damage, because if you don't, you're behind. So in this game, it's been very conventional. In my mind, though, that does kind of favor Solar a bit, because Solar is just such a rock-solid, straightforward macro player, although in this series, it's not really been the case, right? Like, we had one game where he was playing macro, but only after he was forced into it, the game where he went up towards the Hive. There's only been one Hive, I think. Yeah, I think there's only been one Hive in his entire finals. Maybe two. Anyways, there was one game where he played proper Lurkers and proper Vipers and everything else, but so far, Solar seems to be all about surviving the early game, getting to the mid game, and then just making non-stop stuff. Non-stop aggression. Charge coming up right now, though. 4 Protoss, so it's not quite going to be 100% conventional. Charge together with the +1 ground attack. Lair here. A little bit later than what we saw in some of the previous games. Ooh, there's the Foracle squad. Bzzzt. Bzzzt. You know, I'm a big fan of this for multiple reasons. First of all, it's a powerful strategy and one that we don't really see all too often. Secondly, though, any YouTube thumbnail I have ever... No! Okay. All right. I thought for a second he was going to back off, man. Any YouTube thumbnail that I've made in the past with oracles on them shooting at a base, for some reason, those videos get an insane amount of clicks. People love the oracles on the thumbnail. Shout out to the people clicking on this. I appreciate it. Was it because of the oracles? The Foracle hit squad, baby. I love it. Spire, though, to celebrate here as well, the loss of a base for Solar. The first time he's actually gone for a Spire. Yeah, it's a bit weird to see oracles killing structures and especially hatcheries, right? But if you have enough of them, their DPS is kind of nuts. Mutas never really seem to have the same effect. No. There's a few different ways to play Mutas. Either you go mass Muta. In my mind, that's not really something Solar does, but we never really know. Seems like he's capable of a little bit of everything lately. I would say the more normal thing, though, to do is to make like a batch of Mutas, maybe like up to about 12, maybe 15 or so at most. And then you transition from there into very quick Lurkers. Now, in this instance, we don't yet have the missile upgrade started up. Okay. That was your cue, apparently, Solar. Thank you for waiting, making me sound smart. I'm assuming we will be going into Hydros, but maybe not. Only time will tell. For now, though, he's spending all of his gas on good old Mutas. And, well, we are apparently also going into the Pneumatized Carapace upgrade. That's Overlord speed. We did make a Robo facility this time around. Normally, that's what we do every game. Ooh, this move out over here is something else. How much anti-air is there? There's 3 Archons, but only 1 in his army. And there's, yeah, a few Stalkers, but that's not really that much. Apparently, though, we're not going to be using the Mutas for base defense. Instead, we're sending them straight across. Probes are dying, but so are the Stalkers themselves. Roaches are just coming up right now. Can we, maybe save a few of these Protoss units? Hero, wake up. He's under a lot of pressure, trying to keep his Stalkers alive over here. And you can see his supply count absolutely plummet. I love the contamination, actually, on that Stargate, making it difficult to keep the Phoenix production going. And I think these Mutas have already been well worth Solar's time. Now the Roaches are coming out in large numbers too. If you could get the Medevac, that would be... Or the Medevac? The Medevac. If you could get the Protoss Medevac with the units inside of it, that would be massive. Hero, though, yet again into a very defensive position. Roaches are knocking at the front door. And this is maybe a little bit more of an uncommon transition right here from Solar, but it is not because it's not powerful. Normally the Mutas can buy you time to go straight into Lurkers, but Solar has very little intention to play late game yet again. Yeah, Solar is playing Zerg like a sledgehammer in this entire series. As soon as he gets the Zerg army overhead, he slams it down. And this is an awful lot of losses. And if any of the previous games, right, have told us anything, he is not going to stop producing stuff. He could use this as an opportunity right now to maybe build up his eco some more, or maybe go up towards higher tech. Maybe come back with another wave in a couple minutes from now, but nope. I think he's going to be using this for just non-stop roach production yet again. Maybe we'll have to go and, well, chill for just a moment. Allow the reinforcements to arrive, morph in some new Ravagers, that sort of thing, but for the most part... the Phoenix and a Muta kill each other at the final second there. For the most part, it is just non-stop pressure. There we go. Rinse and repeat. It's a 100 supply advantage right now for Zerg. And while Hero is capable of some phenomenal Prism micro, he's going to have to juggle for a very long time to be able to kill up an army this large. Still, it's difficult for the Zerg to break this high ground. It looks like he's just going to force his way up there. Yeah. Look at Solar, by the way. Not teching up, but taking like almost like a lateral step, right? As far as macro goes, as far as the tech of choice goes. We're going into Banelings from here. Now, Hero decided that he wanted to warp in 8 sentries. And then just a whole load of Immortals. I mean, he can force field his ramp for days. A couple Mutas are coming up yet again. Yeah, it's just Immortals and Sentries for now. Hero's at 45 probes, though. Okay. Spending what little money he's got on a Robo Bay. Fair enough. A Prism is sneaking away. Fair. But I like this idea right here from the Zerg player quite a bit. Maybe some double-pronged aggression would be good. Force fields, force fields. Yeah, decent. Bunch of Zerglings did slip through the cracks. Prism has arrived in the far bottom right. Easy snipe for that Mutalisk if it decides to commit. A couple of Roaches apparently glued to those force fields too. And this is at the very least buying some time right here for Hero. Problem is, Zerg has got like, I don't know, like maybe... Let's have a look at the income advantage. Yeah, Zerg has a lot more income here than Protoss does. So even with cost-inefficient trades, Solar's fine. He is ready to rinse and repeat yet again. Looks like the entirety of the Protoss army for some reason here was waiting near the mineral line, and that is now going to allow a lot of these Zerg units to break through into the natural expansion, and with the sentries gone, I think that Hero's chances are dwindling. It's a different playstyle than what we normally see from Solar. But Solar has been looking mighty powerful as of late. I love what he's been doing in Zerg vs. Terran. I really like what he's been doing in Zerg vs. Protoss too. He's able to play full macro, full cheese, full mid-game aggression. Yeah, Solar, without a shadow of a doubt, the most impressive Zerg player on the new patch so far.